So some more news broke today in the Kaylee gang case, and this is good news, as ultimately, I believe, even though this has become such a heated situation, as I keep pointing out, with the politicians getting involved and all the heated racial debates and arguments, it's no secret, right? You log right online and see it all going on, and it's happening in the news. And I'm sure there's a lot of heated stuff going on in real life as well, but ultimately, I believe everyone wants to see this girl get better and recover. Because through all the narratives and everything that's going on, ultimately, it was two teenagers that got in a fight. And I don't believe anyone wants to see a child perish like that. Now, we already knew that she had woke up, and that was a plus. That was good. But now the update, as before, it was very quiet, just she's awake now. But now it's being said that she's speaking. Her speech is limited. She's starting speech therapy, but that she can't really walk. She can't get around at all without the assistance of the hospital staff. And she has a long road of recovery ahead for her. And again, this is very good. You know, there was serious injuries, trauma to the brain. You never know how that can go. And honestly, I want to point this out as someone, I have a family member who was in a horrific car wreck, right? And it was a situation where initially when it all happened, like right on the scene, you didn't know if that person was going to survive. It was a child also. It was terrible. The stuff nightmares are made of, right? But then they saved her life, right? We're talking about internal bleeding and stuff like that. Very serious lacerations to vital organs. And then they were stabilized. They were in a hospital, and it was uphill, but it was like, okay, now she's not out of the woods yet. There's going to be a lot of procedures and stuff like that goes down. Then it turned into she's going to survive, but she may never be the same as far as injuries, right? This was a liver injury. But then they made a miraculous recovery, right? Which often when you're younger, I mean, hell, a lot of older people probably know this just from like going jogging or something like that. When we were in our youth, we could run around, do all kinds of wild stuff. Hell, even when some of us probably got closer to like graduating or college range, if you went to college, you could go out, drink, do all kinds of wildish, and sleep 2 hours and you were good to go. But as you get older, you could go jogging, and if you're not in good shape, be sore for a week or two, But when we're young, the way the body can bounce back in such a miraculous way is amazing. But what I'm getting at is this family member of mine, they turned out to be okay. It was great. They recovered against all odds and everything like that. But later on, the side of things that we didn't really realize is obviously, we did, right? The trauma is a lot to deal with. It can scar one for life. But something we didn't realize, and it became apparent later, as it's, a lot of this stuff when it comes to the brain, there's not 100% science on it all, like we see with all the football stuff, CTE and things of that nature. But, this person, because everyone was so focused, obviously, on saving her life. Later on, a lot of wild changes and emotional stuff, and just it's a very deep, wild conversation. But what I'm basically getting at is when one has a traumatic brain injury, it can just change people in a wild way, and that's something often that doesn't come till later, or it's not something you realize right away. And I'm just pointing all that out. I'm sorry to get a bit off topic. I don't know, I have a tendency to kind of ramble on a bit about things, and I apologize for that. Some people like it, some don't. It's just kind of the way I rock. I'm want to be a podcaster. I like to talk on things, if you feel me. So I was just pointing that all out with Kaylee Gain recovering, and this being good news. When you have an injury to the brain like that for the rest of your life, it can change a person, and you don't really know necessarily until things come up, in a sense. Like a traumatic brain injury is a complex, wild thing. Obviously, it's the human brain. So I'm just pointing out that's something she could be dealing with for her whole life. But like I said, this is good news. She's recovering. As you know, the coma went on a couple weeks and no one really knew what was going to happen. And something I've been pointing out, and many agree with this, many have commented and been like, I concur with you on this sentiment, is that due to the fact that this has become such a political news story and things like that, it's kind of hard to really trust the information that's coming out. You know, things get very strategic and, you know, it becomes, again, not about the youths involved. It becomes about different people in higher up positions trying to use this to push certain agendas and things that they have for possibly totally unrelated reasons. You know what I mean? Like, if you've been following this case, it at times has felt like a lot of pertinent information has been being held back. Like, it's hard to quite explain, but if you've been following it all, there's certain little updates and certain information you think that we would be privy to at this point. You know, I'm not talking about real in-depth things, but it just has felt like info is being left out. You know, when things get political, you just really can't trust for anyone to tell you the truth or for the truth to really get out. And that's been my feelings on this, that hopefully the authorities are doing the right thing and we're not really going to know what's what about everything until the court process plays out. But then, you know, a whole nother part to this is, will she be charged as an adult or not? People feel different ways about that. I've been steadfast when I've been saying I don't think there's any way she escapes charges flat out, but I'm not really for or against her being charged as an adult. You know what I'm saying? I've continued to say I think this was a situation between kids that just flat out got out of hand. But once again, it just really is a shame the way things work, the construct in this country with the political fights going on, you know, that news and such gets manipulated for that reason and for the political elite's gain. You know, and I point out that these updates that we're really getting are really more coming from the lawyer, which that is kind of a standard thing when attorneys are involved in stuff. A lot of the times the attorney does all the talking. But what I'm getting at is, say she actually is doing a lot better, it wouldn't shock me one bit if the attorney was saying, hey, let's kind of keep this simple. Let's not put a lot of this stuff out and whatnot, you know. But I'm just saying, as a human being watching something that happened, a tragic situation between other human beings, it's a good thing that this girl is recovering and doing better. It's a great sign. But once again, when it comes to a brain injury, that's just a lifelong thing that can affect you in many different ways. Now, the other side of the coin to everything that's been going on, like I've been saying, has become a very, very heated racial debate. And you see, like I pointed out in other videos, the family of the other girl involved who was arrested, they say that their daughter is the true victim. And I've stated that I just, you know, don't really see how that can be with the fact that she didn't get her head busted in. But I do believe that there's parts of the story that are being held back, that are done with intentions to make this girl look like she's just a bad kid. You know, when we've got reports and stuff that come out that say, yeah, she's speaks multi-languages. She was doing very good with her studies. She had never been in trouble before. She was in the orchestra. She straight played sports. She was handling her business and responsible and striving on to have a really good life. Unfortunately, she made this mistake, as I keep pointing out. Fights happen. That's a fact. But the slamming of the head is where this crossed the line. But they're pointing out now, and obviously a lot of stuff with this video, as I've continued to put out with my coverage of this, I'm not going to include the video in any of this video. It's graphic. It's just not in good taste. But they've slowed it down, and they got Kaylee Gain throwing the first blow. And it has been confirmed that Kaylee Gain, had been suspended right before all this happened for bullying someone else. And she, I've used clips in other videos. Like I said, I got a lot of videos on this. Go check them all out. Share your thoughts. If you're new to the platform, subscribe, hit the buttons for me. We just talk it up on different topics over here. You know what I mean? I'm not here to tell people I'm a specialist and this is what it is. I'm just here to talk about it with y'all. And, let's kick it in the comments. But let's go over some of the stuff that I'm speaking of. This woman here who's been covering this a lot, she says, just logged on, and conservatives are throwing fits in my mentions over Kaylee Gain, the bully that went around antagonizing kids until she finally met her match. The crocodile tears got me going. And once again, there is a lot of stuff that shows. That's what I'm like we're just talking here. This is just keeping it a buck with y'all. It really does seem that Kaylee Gain was involved in drama, was starting ish. Like I said, go check out my other videos. There is clips of her on social media talking about beefing and fighting. It doesn't make it okay what happened to her. You know what I'm saying? But when you're living that kind of lifestyle, unfortunate things happen. You know what I mean? Like when you're with the rah-rah BS, that's the type of situations you involved in. And again, when I'm saying this girl, I don't see a way she can escape charges, is the slamming of the head is where this went beyond just a normal fight. You know what I mean? If that didn't happen, this would probably have just been a situation where you had some youth with minor injuries, but that's where things went too far. But it also was just wild, the brawl that was going down, the amount of kids involved in this brawl. Then here's another post that says, racist white people see Kaylee Gain as a victim after she punched Mornice DeClue first and got suspended for fighting another student the day before, a literal bully. They love ignoring that. And then there is a petition here. You know what I'm saying? This is out there. What do you guys think, though? There's a lot of petitions out there with all this as well. But this is the debate, though, where we got to get into things about self-defense laws. And again, I'm not saying I'm a specialist. I'm not saying I got the answers. I'm saying let's talk about this, right? Because self-defense laws are so different in different places, right? This is Missouri, the Midwest. I don't know what life is like out there, what society is like out there, what the legal, stuff, the laws surrounding situations like this dictate. But for instance, I'm from New York State, right? In New York, there's not a lot of guns. No one really has guns like that. If you have a permit to have a gun, that's to go shoot it off at, go hunting or go shoot at the shooting range. And when you go there, you got to have I believe, ammunition and the gun separate, locked up, I think in your trunk or something like that. It's very, very specific laws. And when it comes to self-defense, you can only use equal or greater force as someone else. So meaning that if someone flux with you, right, if they swing off on you, you can swing back and whatnot, but you can't pull a strap out, which no one has a strap. Like I was saying, that's just not how it is in New York State. And the only people that really have guns that they can have in a holster like that are armed security and people who were law enforcement. For instance, I'll put it like this. I have a family member that has a permit. I'm not sure if it's concealed or whatever, but basically they worked for the federal government. They can have a weapon anywhere, but there's 2 states that permit is no good. New York is one of them. I forget what the other state is. And that's kind of the way New York looks at self-defense and stuff like that. If someone's hooking off on you and fighting you, you can fight them back, but you can't just off them. There's been situations in New York State where people, have even in a home invasion, there was a situation once, and I'm not saying I agree with this or not, but I'm saying there was a situation where someone broke into someone's house and they ended up killing that person, and the person still actually went away. They didn't get charged. It wasn't murder or nothing like that, but it was something more along the lines of manslaughter, that they used too much force, right? But then I lived in Florida. Florida's a crazy place where it's open carry. Everyone's got guns. And you can literally, like, someone can punch you in the face. And in some situations, you're justified to pull a gun out and blow them to kingdom come. You know, another situation, unfortunately, it's a very racial situation. And I thought it was bullshit, was the Zimmerman situation. You know, he was following this kid around, fucking with him, bothering him. When the kid finally had enough and was creeped out and weirded out, he put the paws on Zimmerman. And, you know, Zimmerman pushed this kid to this and then got lumped up. And I felt like he deserved it. Like, you don't run that neighborhood or nothing like that. And the kid had a reason to be there. And then he shot him, and he was charged. You know, we were talking about legal self-defense laws. Zimmerman was charged, but, you know, the court jury found that he wasn't guilty. But the point that I'm talking about is Florida has like those stand your ground laws where, you know, if someone fucks with you, you can pretty much kill them or comes on your property or whatever. I don't know what it's like in Missouri, and it's so wild in a lot of legal situations, you know, where laws are open to interpretation and whatnot. I don't know what it's like in Missouri in the state laws, you know, but what I'm getting at is with the situation like this, where it's seeming Kaylee Gain did throw the first punch, this girl was just to fight back, and right, by legal situation, the laws and all that, but also that just feels right? If someone fucks with you, you put hands on you, gets physical, you can fight back. Again, my stance has just been slamming the head off the ground. That's beyond just a fight. And I don't know what the self-defense laws are like there or anywhere else, you know, and there's different views on this. Like I said, we're talking about how everyone feels personally, and then how people feel the law will look at a situation. And then again, you got the whole, is she going to be charged as a youth or an adult? They got to have this certification hearing, which again, you know, hit the comments, everyone, and stay tuned for updates. But I think this is going to carry on for quite some time. And once again, I just don't trust a lot of the information involved because of the politicians being involved. And, you know, something else that I want to point out before I close this video, I was saying this before when there were these talks from the Attorney General, who is really using this situation for his gain. And once again, I mentioned in another video, where do you go from Attorney General? Is that like someone who's looking next to become like a senator or a governor or something like that? I don't know. But he was talking about all this hate crime stuff, and that's just not what this is. That is ludicrous, plain and simple. But there you have it, man. It seems she's doing better. Long road to recovery ahead. Remember, the traumatic brain stuff is something that can affect one for the rest of their life. And like I said, there's really just not all the science on there about it. This other family keeps saying their child is the real victim. Like I said, I don't believe that to be true because she didn't have her head bashed in, and not to sound insensitive, just trying to keep it real, that's what happened. But I do believe that, and I do understand why this family is feeling like, you know, when it comes down to it, their child is not really going to get their true story out there, or, you know, a lot is going to be ignored because of public opinion and the way this is just being pushed in such a racial / political way. But I really do believe that her child was pushed and was harassed and, you know, was an honor student. I believe all that. I believe this Kaylee Gain girl was involved in the BS, and that's the lifestyle she was living. From everything that I've seen, that's facts. I just am saying the extent that the fight went is where, you know, there's just no way this girl doesn't face charges. Will it be as an adult? I don't know. This ain't no damn hate crime, though. That's ludicrous. But I keep saying this in every video I make, man. Law enforcement really needs to be doing their due diligence and getting to the bottom of all this, you know, and fighting through all the politicians and everything, you know, clouding what the situation really is. They need to get to the facts and figure this out. And again, then there's the whole self-defense angle and aspect of this, which is a real legal discussion. It does seem Kaylee Gain really threw the first punch, but what does the law dictate when it comes to a situation like this and one fighting bad out back? I want to hear everyone's thoughts on all this across the board. Once again, stay tuned for updates. Subscribe, talk true crime and all kinds of stuff over here. Look forward to talking with everyone in the comments. And I'm out of here. Catch you on the next one. Peace.